Today, we're diving into Fyodor Dostoevsky's very first novel, Poor Folk. Now, this is an incredibly intimate story set in 19th century St. Petersburg, and it's told entirely through letters exchanged between two people just being absolutely crushed by poverty. And you know what? It all kicks off with a tiny, secret signal. So an aging government clerk, Makar Alexeyevich, he writes these words to a young woman, Varvara Alexievna, who lives right across the courtyard from him. He sees a little corner of her curtain turned up, and in his deep, profound loneliness, he takes it as this tender, secret message that's meant just for him. And that one small gesture, whether he imagined it or not, it kicks off this whole correspondence that pretty much becomes their entire world. It's through these letters that they share everything, their daily struggles, their most painful memories, and their most fragile hopes. They've forged this bond that is really their only defense against a truly crushing reality. Okay, so this simple curtain signal, it's not just a cute detail. It's the key to everything. It reveals the fundamental differences between our two main characters and the totally different ways they see the world. I mean, the contrast in how they react is it's perfect. For Makar, this is a brilliant romantic invention, a secret code he's so proud of. But Barbara's reply, it gently brings him back to earth. She never even thought about it. The curtain just looped up by accident. And right there in that one exchange, you see their whole dynamic. He's the sentimental dreamer, and she is the grounded and, frankly, more sorrowful pragmatist. So even though they live just feet apart, their inner worlds could not be more different. They're both shaped by their own unique experiences of poverty. Let's get to know them a little better. All right, first there's Makar. He's this low-ranking copyist who's basically spent his whole life in total obscurity. And get this, he lives in a partitioned-off corner of a communal kitchen. His letters, though, they are just overflowing with this tender, verbose emotion. His sort of paternal affection for Barbara becomes his one and only reason for being, and his greatest joy is spending what little money he has on small gifts for her. And then we have Barbara. She's a young seamstress who is just haunted by a past filled with loss and exploitation. She's definitely the more clear-eyed of the two. Of course, she appreciates Makar's kindness, but she's constantly anxious about the sacrifices he makes for her, because she knows exactly how little he has to begin with. And this exchange right here, it just captures their dynamic perfectly. Makar buys her geraniums out of pure affection. It's a simple act that brings him so much joy. But what's Barbara's immediate reaction? Anxiety. She doesn't see a flower, she sees the meals he must have skipped to buy it. For them, poverty just infects everything, turning even a simple gesture of love into a source of worry. Now, to really understand Barbara's constant melancholy, we have to look back. At one point in their letters, she shares a manuscript with Makar, it's like a diary, detailing the life she had before she met him and the tragedies that really shaped who she is. Her story is just this steady, heartbreaking decline. It starts with a happy childhood out in the country, but the minute the family moves to St. Petersburg, their luck just runs out. After her father's death, she and her mother are left with nothing, forced to live with this cruel relative. And just when she finds this tiny flicker of connection with a young student, Pokrovsky, he's taken from her too. You see, this friendship with Pokrovsky was her last real hope. He was a kindred spirit, someone who actually understood her. So his tragic death from consumption wasn't just another loss. It was the final blow that left her completely and utterly isolated in a hostile world. The raw, emotional weight of this loss is just perfectly captured in this description from Barbara's manuscript. She watches Pokrovsky's grieving father running desperately after his son's coffin in the pouring rain, books literally falling out of his pockets. It's just a devastating, unforgettable image of sorrow that mirrors her own sense of total desolation. So, in this bleak reality of theirs, both Makar and Barbara turn to literature to try and escape. But what they choose to read, well, it reveals yet another deep divide in who they are. Makar is completely 100% captivated by the works of his neighbor, an author named Ratazayev. He adores this kind of over-the-top, melodramatic romance. To him, this is the absolute pinnacle of literary art. He naively copies out long passages for Barbara, just sure she's going to be as impressed as he is. But Barbara's response is just priceless. She is utterly unimpressed. And while her blunt opinion is pretty funny, It's also really insightful. She's lived through real tragedy, so she has absolutely no patience for this sentimental, artificial drama. See, for Barbara, literature isn't some frivolous escape. Her preference for the genuine emotion and simple beauty of authors like Pushkin is tied to these cherished memories of happier times. For her, reading is this painful, almost sacred link to the past that she's lost. So ultimately, their relationship is this fragile but incredibly profound connection, born from their shared circumstances. In a world that offers them nothing but hardship and loneliness, all they really have is each other. And for Makar, this bond gives his entire life a new meaning. He sees Barbara as the family he never had. And this affection, it elevates his humble existence, giving him a purpose beyond just copying documents and trying to survive another day. And you have to remember, their world is relentlessly grim. Dostoevsky surrounds them with other stories of suffering, like their neighbors, the Gorshkovs, who are so poor they can barely even afford a coffin for their dead child. Their personal connection is like this one small flickering light against a huge backdrop of darkness. And so, they depend on each other completely. He offers her what little protection and material comfort he can scrape together, trying to shield her from a predatory world. And in return, she gives his lonely life happiness and a real reason to carry on. Their letters are their sanctuary. And this all brings us to the central question of the novel. Their bond is pure, it's heartfelt, it's deeply human. But in a world of such overwhelming pressure, a world that seems designed to just grind the poor into dust, can a simple human connection truly be enough to survive? That's the question Dostoevsky leaves us with, and it's what makes his very first novel so powerful and unforgettable.